We're here today to talk about the Minnesota Twins. No, I don't have a cold. We have a special guest today, and we're talking about how the Twins may be the most irrelevant franchise in baseball, but not before we get locked on Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night. This is Locked On Twins, and I'm your host, Brandon Warne. We are so delighted that you have made Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube, and of course, as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, we're your team every day. If you're one of our everydayers, we love to hear from you in the comments, whether it's on YouTube or leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We'll do our best to hang out in the comments section and chat with you all, so please come hang out with us, especially when we run the premieres of the show. Again, I'm your host, Brandon Warne. You may have read me at any number of places, including the Access Twins newsletter. And our special guest for this episode, you may have listened to his mildly acclaimed podcast, Twins Off Daily. He calls himself the John Swartzwelder of Twins Daily, and we know him by good old pal Gregg Masterson. What's going on, man?
That's a 7-time guest, Gregg Masterson, to you. How we doing, Brandon?
7 times. It's always great to have you around here. And what's funny is that this conversation solely and chiefly came about based on I wouldn't say it was a throwaway comment in the group chat, but it was definitely something where this is not something we had created this big long conversation about, and suddenly it became kind of like a waterfall. I feel bad for anybody who maybe had snoozed the chat and then came back and saw all the discussion. But before we get into that, I do have to make sure everybody knows that this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com, and you'll get 50% off your first year. Mr. Masterson, you made an assertion, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you the on-ramp to make sure that I don't summarize it improperly. But basically, my thought was you were saying the Twins are more or less the most irrelevant franchise in MLB right now. What am I missing, or am I about right here?
No, yeah, I said that I think that the Twins are the most irrelevant team in baseball when you kind of consider, I guess, a combination. Like, you have to think about it from a number of different angles. But there is, I guess, you've got to consider lifetime achievement, recent effect, or like recent, I don't know, storylines. Because I think that sometimes when we say like a team is irrelevant, that might mean, that they're just bad. But there are very relevant, very bad teams. So like, I'll throw out like the Colorado Rockies, I think are very relevant right now because they are so bad. Beyond that, just kind of their stay in pop culture. I think that those are kind of the 3 angles that I kind of was thinking about it from. But yeah, I think succinctly, I would say that I think I could be argued out of it, but I think that the Twins are the most irrelevant team in Major League Baseball right now.
Well, and anytime you're talking about the Rockies and Dinger, I think you got to kind of let's be serious. It's Dinger. It's a home run dinosaur.
I mean, my goodness. Honestly, I think he's one of the most underrated mascots in baseball. 100% love Dinger. Far, far better than that bear that the Twins have.
Dave actually dropped a line about we were doing the Goldilocks and the 3 TC Bears, he said, because we were talking about if the Twins have too much starting pitching next year, not enough or just enough. And spoiler alert, obviously they don't have too much. Nobody has too much starting pitching. But we looked at it through the lens of like, yeah, they've got some guys at the top, they've got some guys at the middle, they've got some guys in the back end. How is it all going to come together? And so I've beaten TC Bear in a home run hitting contest. That's basically like seeing
the old TC, though.
The old. No, it would have been in 16, and I don't know when the passing of the torch was.
2020.
So I beat the old bear then?
Yes. The new bear doesn't do home run derbies.
Well, I beat the old bear, and the old bear was good at the
home run very derby. Good.
And I beat him. And then, in fact, so did Tyler Mason and Rhett Bollinger. And I'm not saying I'm the epitome of athletic, but none of us really were, and we still all hit a home run. So that was a good day. But so your criteria, and you kind of laid it out there, but things that can take a team off the list or consideration for the list is recent success and pronounced recent success. Like if you were to talk about the Royals, the fact that they've won a World Series, I mean, it's been a decade, that probably nudges them to the more relevant side of things, kind of get out of the conversation. The Nationals obviously stink right now, but not that long ago, won a World Series. I mean, they drafted two of the most ballyhooed prospects. There's lots of things working in their favor that keep them from being entirely irrelevant.
I think that you also have to consider the Expos when you're talking about the Washington Nationals. I think that does carry over. And the Expos are, I don't know, it's one of the strangest stories in baseball history and one of the more unique franchises. And so I would say that probably gives Washington a nudge too.
If they play that 94 World Series and the Expos appear, are they still in Montreal, do you think?
I don't know, man. There's so many things working against Montreal Expos baseball that were away from the field. Baseball just wanted to get rid of them. So I don't know. I would love to see, the Montreal Expos becoming a new expansion franchise. I don't know though that Montreal is going to support it. I really don't know. That's a tough question.
Well, it certainly was a team primed to make a run that year. It was that, and then it was Kent Herbeck's last year. Don Mattingly's one of his last years. I don't remember if he played in 95 or not. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, a lot of things that we missed out on in 94. I was an 8-year-old boy, the same age as my daughter, and I know how important things like sports are to her. And so when I think back to like what we missed there, I'm glad that I stuck with the game because it would have been easy to just drop it. Now, as far as your criterion for most irrelevant team, are there any that you haven't laid out yet that you feel? I mean, we're talking, I said the Minnesota Twins, like they don't win World Series. Sometimes they win the playoffs, but not really. They don't really have a superstar. And certainly now with Carlos Correa out, there's not a lot of name value on this roster before you consider that they traded everybody. But even when they've been pretty good, like you'll look at the league leaders in WAR and like guys like Max Kepler and Jorge Polanco would be super productive, but they weren't 5-win guys. It was oftentimes a bunch of guys doing well. And that's kind of been their hallmark in the post Kirby Puckett era. The Torrey Hunter, Corey Koski twins were balanced. The Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau twins, I feel like I'm calling them twins. You had a couple really good players, but you had Michael Kadire, you had Jason Kubel, you had a few other guys. I think the fact that there hasn't been much of a household name coming from the Twins since Kirby Puckett sort of bolsters your case. And I will come clean. Through a mutual friend in the group chat, when you started kind of laying out the case and I would say something and you'd come back to it, I said, I think Gregg's made up his mind and he's not going to be deterred no matter he's being very headstrong here. And the friend did not respond affirmatively or negatively. So I'll
say that the way that I actually think is I just make the best argument for what I'm thinking about, whether I believe it or not. And I try to see where it lands. But yeah, I mean, your point about not having stars. I mean, like let's be honest. Carlos Correa is not a household name in the way that so many players in MLB are. He was he is a great player, all that, probably a borderline Hall of Famer. But his kind of aura or his kind of the tales that get spun about him, right, are so attached to the Houston Astros that outside of Houston, he's not really that same guy. And even with Houston, I mean, you probably put him behind Altuve. You probably put him behind Bregman on those teams in terms of name recognition and kind of superstar status. And that's the closest that the Twins have gotten to a household name superstar probably since Joe Mauer. And that's a long time. Like between Kirby Puckett and right now, that's 30 years where. And don't get me wrong, Joe Mauer was a household name, but not in the way that so many people, so many players in the mid to late 2000s, the early teens were just blasted everywhere. I mean, he was one of the most boring superstars. I'm a huge Tim Duncan fan. I would put Joe Mauer kind of in that class of just the most boring superstars you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, I feel like the most interesting thing about Tim Duncan is his hair now. Like he's doing like those crazy dreads, like a drug thing.
That shocked everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even if you concede that Joe Mauer is a household name, and I mean, I was a bigger Joe Mauer fan than most, he is not as big of a pull or a draw as someone who's done many commercials, was cover boy of multiple baseball video games, and the biggest, like the baseball video game. We're in the era of only one baseball video game. I think we've been that way for since he's had that. Even still, hardly matters. It's not like 2K was much of a threat. And he's still, he's no more identifiable than, I'm trying to think of even. I mean, we talk about Mike Trout being a boring superstar. He did Subway commercials, and that was it.
Yeah.
And this isn't the era, and we'll get into this. There isn't really like a Ken Griffey Jr. in baseball right now. I mean, Shohei, I think, gets that pull, but I just think kids have different heroes now. We, or at least I, growing up, like we knew about Ken Griffey Jr. and Barry Bonds, and it was kind of league specific because we didn't have interleague play yet. And then Kirby locally. But I mean, I think you made the case that like probably not as many people outside of Minnesota care about Kirby as we think. And so, yeah, I mean, I think my concession speech here, as it gets kind of long, is that I think you were more onto something, not more on, but more on to something than I initially gave credit. Now, I'm not going to let you jump in yet because we do got to take our first commercial break. But when we come back, I want to bring up some of the teams that I brought up as kind of contenders. And then at the end of the show, in our third segment, I think it'll just kind of come down to a concession speech. You were right. I was wrong. I'm not very smart. You're very smart. I'm not good looking. The Happy Gilmore speech. But we'll get there when we get there. First, let's take our first break. And, we got to give some love to one of our newer ones, Upside. Hey, if you are looking to pay less than full price for gas, if you're still paying full price for gas, stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play Store right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code. It's the word season, like it's just about NFL season, and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year from just buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it is totally legit. Real people like you and Mr. Masterson and me are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Again, don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time code SEASON for a limited time 25% per gallon bonus. Make it easy for me to say. That's promo code SEASON. Now, there is a disclaimer. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for full terms and conditions. Got to realize who I'm speaking to when I'm talking about driving. Mr. Gregg Masterson, one of the best drivers in our time. I just got to give you some crap there, a little inside baseball reference. But
no, it's in my bio. I'm a legendary award-winning delivery driver.
Well, quite frankly, that's all you need. So the nature of our little back and forth, our jovial back and forth, if you want to get really inside baseball, was, okay, you laid out the case that the Twins are largely irrelevant, more so than any of the other 29 franchises. So just to kind of float this out there, here are some of the franchises that came up. And if I miss anybody, let me know. I believe Miami came up, right?
Yep.
The Nationals, we kind of kicked around, but ultimately decided no. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
I think I brought up Milwaukee at the end, mostly just because they haven't really won anything.
I mean, I would say Milwaukee is, I mean, they're very Twins adjacent in a lot of different ways where
like geography.
I know, but like, I mean, are they the nearest team to the Twin Cities?
I think they have to be. I think Chicago is another 60 minutes. I mean, if you were to go as the crow flies, I think Milwaukee is slightly closer than Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, so the Brewers do check a ton of boxes that the Twins do, in that, I mean, they've had like their legends like Robin Yount and Paul Molitor, Ryan Braun, but I mean, it's very Twinsian in kind of. Robin Yount, I feel like, is sort of like Kirby Puckett adjacent, where it's like, if you are in Milwaukee, like, the dude is a hero, but if you live outside, it's like, yeah, that was that organization's very good player. Like, obviously a legend, probably a disrespected baseball player, but if we're talking about, you know, the kind of pull that a name has, Robin Yount and Paul Molitor are not those guys. You know, a smaller market team, not a ton of lifetime success. I would probably, if we were pitting them against each other, I would say that their current success probably pushes them a little bit more than kind of the Twins. I don't know, the vibe around the Twins is not even a lovable loser. It's just like, kind of, they're not losing a ton. They're just like hovering around 500 and have been for a half decade. But I think that there are a lot of similarities, and you can make a pretty strong argument kind of either way with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, and I think with Robin Yount, like, if you want somebody who does it better or checks more boxes, but of the similar ilk, George Brett with the Royals, I think.
Sorry, I do want to make one more point about the Brewers.
Yes, of course.
They have potentially the best logo in sports, and I think that actually does kind of.
The MB glove?
Yeah, the M in the glove. Yeah.
So the high school that is nearest to where I live, my daughter goes to the school that Seth Halverson went to.
Okay,
the closer for the Rockies. I know you're a closet Rockies fan, or maybe not even closet. I don't know if that's fair to say. But anyway, the STMA here used the Milwaukee Brewers logo and did like an S, a T, an M, and then the A, and it was a glove. And they actually got hit with a cease and desist by the Brewers for stealing their logo. So
my hometown actually used that as well for our American Legion, without giving away too much information on where I grew up. But I did grow up in an M town, so it was M baseball. So
well, that's all. It is an eminently copyable logo. So anyway, we opted against Milwaukee. The Reds came up but didn't get much traction. I think Big Red Machine and the Hit King and all that, kind of puts you out of consideration there.
I also feel like any team that Ken Griffey Jr. played for, it's hard to say you're irrelevant. Also, the Reds are allegedly the oldest team in Major League or the first professional team, or whatever. Or at least they borrowed the name from that.
The Red Stockings.
Yeah.
Sounds like that old Conan O'Brien sketch where he did the.
Yeah, see here.
Yeah. I had a guy try to get me to play that, and I could never make my schedule work, but it looked like a whole heap of fun. He has since passed away, so I'm bummed that I didn't get to do that. But Pittsburgh came up. I mean, We Are Family, Barry Bonds, they have been so irrelevant for so long. But the
iconic look.
And you've got the look. You've got Roberto Clemente. There's enough there. You could take them out for me. You go to the NL West. Rockies, your case for the Rockies was like, okay, everybody knows they stink, and they're literally in the running for like possibly being the worst or one of the worst teams ever. Don't they have to win, what is it, 6 more games the rest of the way, something like that?
Yeah, they do need to really eat it the rest of the way, but they are in the running. I don't know. I mean, even if you look at like the stars from, the Blake Street Bombers was enormous, but even if you pit like the stars of the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years of the Rockies versus the Twins, just Todd Helton and Larry Walker goes like that beats just Joe Mauer, right? You've got 2 Hall of Famers versus
and Tulo is basically Buxton.
Yep, Tulo. Arenado.
Trevor Story, even great player. Yeah. They give them credit. Their guys are their icons. Charlie Blackmon was probably a bigger deal in Colorado than he had any business being. Like a great player, but if he was in Philly, he's just Brandon Marsh, right?
Right. And damning with faint praise, but they have been to a World Series in the last 20 years.
Yes, 2007, right?
Yeah, 07, against the Red Sox.
They did amazing series of promos on Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you remember this, but Jason Sudeikis he made fun of Dane Cook because there was a series of ads where Dane Cook is standing in front of like the MLB logo or whatever, and it's like this drama music and these cut scenes and everything, and then it's Dane Cook doing all these serious, like, there's 17 teams, 8 bats, 1 ball, no umpire, like, and Sudeikis's character is just completely like riffing on Dane Cook being painted as a serious. I'll post them because they're hysterical, but that's how I remember it, because it was it's the Arizona D-backs against the Colorado Rockies. I'm pretty sure one of them's a hockey team, and then he does like his, because I think the Nordiques were the Colorado Rockies before. Somebody was in hockey was the Colorado Rockies. I didn't know. And then he said Todd Helton shouldn't have a batting average; he should have a batting outstanding. So those live in my brain rent free. But yeah, Diamondbacks obviously beating Mariano Rivera in the World Series. They're good enough, just often enough. Yeah. And then the Padres came up, but you guys were kind of like, oh yeah, the Padres, they're fun. They're really relevant right now.
They're like the most fun team in baseball right now.
And like Tatis Jr. is an icon. Like, I don't know. I feel like getting hurt and getting moved off short and whatnot, all the things that have gone along with the start of his career, we'll just leave it at that, have kind of tarnished it a bit. But he's still, Vlad Jr., Tatis Jr., these guys have significant sway as the sons of former notable big leaguers. Obviously, Fernando Tatis Sr., not as notable as Vlad Sr. But from the NL side, I think your most compelling case is self-inflicted by Miami, or at very least, the Spider-Man pointing meme Milwaukee Brewers, where the Brewers are good now. They've played in the AL and NL, so you get a little bit of a flavor of a change there. Iconic logo. It's really hard for me to feel like, and Miami / when they were Florida, won 2 World Series, and they've won 2 of them in the meantime since the Twins have won their last one. Right. So I think
that there is probably a distinction between like what was the Florida Marlins and what was the Miami Marlins. Like the Florida Marlins had so many stars at different points in their careers.
Crazy.
It was unreal.
They're like the Royals of the NL, because I went back and watched a Royals game in 86, and they had Danny Tartable and Brett Saberhagen and Willie Wilson at the top of the order, and they were just incredible. And I'm like, yeah, they won the World Series the year before this, of course. And then there was another one I was watching, and I think it was Twins Royals, and the outfield was Damon in left, Beltran in center, and Jermaine Dye in right. And like, your brain doesn't really compute that they had those 3 greats out there all at the same time. And that's the Marlins, like Gary Sheffield and Charles Johnson, and they had Cliff Floyd, and then you go even fast forward to the outfield of Ozuna, Yelich, and Stanton. Yeah, they've had so much talent pass through there. And they're also a tragic organization. I mean, Jose Fernandez,
Yeah.
good, bad, or otherwise, that is relevancy, news relevant. If we're talking SEO for MLB teams, the Twins are, as you say, pretty irrelevant.
Yeah, and I mean, like with the Marlins, the last one, because I'm a big I love jerseys and hats and everything, and I think that the Marlins are an incredibly iconic kind of design. At least the Florida Marlins are. They've kind of lost a lot of that since they rebranded and everything. But like, you can't go anywhere without seeing a Florida Marlins hat or jersey or whatever.
Well, no, that means just because you're in Minnesota, that's the new Twins logo. I hate it. I always felt like that was argued in bad faith. Sorry.
100%.
I have derailed you, but yeah, no, there is some, it is surprisingly iconic for a team that is, I don't know what they are since 93. They got to have one of the worst records. The Rockies too, but 2 World Series, all those good players, all those notable trades, even having trader Jack McKee in there too. Like there's a Mr. Marlin, there's not a Mr.
Marlins man.
Oh no, I meant Jeff Conine, but yeah, there's Marlins too.
Yes.
I'm more of a Jeff Conine than a guy in the red jersey, but game recognized game. So, yeah, I think on the NL side, there's really nobody that is a contender for the Twins other than the Brewers, and the Brewers are good right now, and they're dang good right now, and they're doing it their own way. So they get credit for recency, the opposite of recency bias. All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, I want to lay out the AL and then just say, again, you were right. I was wrong. You are handsome. I am not very good looking, and we'll get out of here in a timely fashion. All right, we here at Locked On Twins have a very important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts like this one even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. You can look beneath here if you're watching on YouTube or in the show notes. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And you can also find the link on the show notes. Thank you for helping us out. And finally, if you ever wish that managing your money felt easier, that's where Monarch Money comes in. It can certainly do that. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase like a working hot dog roller for your basement, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. One thing you may not like, though, and it's a good thing, is it'll tell you where you're spending more money than you probably realize. If you've been over buying glizzies at the Glizzy King, it will tell you spent $400 on hot dogs last month. That might be a problem. And Monarch Money wants to help you fix that problem. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKDOWNMLB at monarchmoney.com, and you'll get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKDOWNMLB for half off your first year. All right, we are back. Locked On Twins, Brandon Warne, Gregg Masterson, getting ready and getting set to go through the AL quick and then discuss whether or not the Twins are the least relevant MLB franchise. Also, it's another big moment on Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation along two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, which that's a big, big name, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Greg, did you laugh when I said you could get a working hot dog roller in your basement? I thought that was kind of funny.
I did. I was muted.
Yes, you were. A very touching tribute to Dave, I might add. No, you were muted when you probably should be. Let's add a quick glance in the AL. I thought about Toronto, but the only remaining Canadian team now for, I believe, 20 years, going on 20 years. You have 2 World Series back-to-back. You've got a few iconic players. So, I mean, they're also amazing right now. So you could make a case, though, that, they were irrelevant for a while, but they've been good enough. Tampa, they just kind of make it happen. I think everybody knows what they're about. Kansas City has won recently enough. We didn't talk about the White Sox. I think just being a historically existing franchise. I guess.
They're in one of the biggest markets. Obviously, they have had almost no success, and that kind of boosts up. I mean,
if not for 2005, they might be in this conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
that's 20 years ago now. I mean, it's and the Black Sox scandal. I know it was 126 years ago, or 106 years ago. I don't know. I mean, do you still think of that as like, 8 men out and like?
I do. I think that it's one of the biggest stories in baseball history was the Black Sox scandal. Shoeless Joe Jackson. I mean, you think about 8 men out, you think about Field of Dreams was essentially centered around the White Sox. Even something as simple as like, if you think about like the most baseball names, like the most baseball team names, it's the Red Sox and the White Sox in terms of like capturing kind of the essence of baseball. I think that there is probably an argument because they just have been so bad for so long that they've kind of just faded into the background. But I mean, over the last, like, since, in the 2020s, people have scoffed and laughed at them so hard for being the most inept team in baseball overall, I would say. I think that the White Sox probably could give the Twins a little bit of a run for their money, but I think that the history kind of outshines, like, there is no Twins history.
Does any part of the team being owned by Jerry Reinsdorf, who was in charge of the Bulls when they were iconic, do anything for you?
I mean, I like how the Bulls and the White Sox actually had like the same script across their road jerseys, the Chicago. I think probably there is something there. Maybe a first-round pick could be something there.
Yeah, it could be something there. Yep.
But I think that there's just enough going for the White Sox that they are more relevant than the Twins.
And we didn't bring up Cleveland. I think having the first African-American player in the AL, because Larry Doby, I believe, is, and that was the 54 team that was just incredible. Historically good, that how good they were in the mid 90s, you can't deny the relevance of going to the Jacobs Field and trying to beat that team in 1995, 96, 97. It just was impossible. So I think
Major League, you also, like, if we're talking about baseball teams that are being spoken about right now for one reason or another, I mean, everybody's constantly talking about how the Guardians should go back to. Am I allowed to say it? I don't know what the rules are here.
I don't know either. It's fine.
They should, like, everybody's talking, like, whether or not they're baseball fans, everybody is in the debate about whether they should go back to being the Indians or not. And so I think that pushes you into like almost one of the most relevant teams in baseball, honestly.
No question about it. And even too, they've had stars, Francisco Lindor. I mean, also too, you can forget the Twins were in a movie too, and it's just not really regarded as one of the baseball movies.
Like, they were actually in 2 movies. They were at the end of of Moneyball.
True, and like The Sandlot gets more love than Little Big League.
Oh yeah,
and justifiably so. Sandlot's a classic.
I've never seen The Sandlot, but
you're built like me in the sense that I haven't watched a lot of the ones everyone else says you have to watch them
that way.
I've never seen Bull Durham, For Love of the Game. I've only seen a little bit of The Natural. Like what's that?
Oh, I was just saying I've seen Bull Durham and I've seen The Natural.
Yeah, it's borderline heretical. The amount that I've never not watched baseball movies is wild work. And so I think it's important to note that. On the AL West side, if the Angels had not won in 2002, I think you still get credit for time served with Trout and Ohtani. So that takes them out.
Yeah.
they've been very, very mid. I call them the AL Rockies. It's not entirely fair, but they've been mired in mid for plenty. The A's are relevant for a lot of the wrong reasons, but I think they still consider relevant. So
also Moneyball. I mean,
yeah,
even if you're not a baseball fan, you've probably seen Moneyball.
Right. And, the Rangers are coming off a World Series a couple years ago, certainly not super relevant, but that World Series kind of, takes a cake. The one team that I kept coming back to and was swayed away from was the Mariners. Now, the Mariners have never really won anything. They had that tremendous 2001 season where they won, I think it was 116 games, 116-46, if I remember. And it was after Griffey was gone. It was it after A-Rod or just as A-Rod was leaving? I'm trying to remember.
After A-Rod.
Yeah, I want to say it was a year after A-Rod. But just had opened Safeco at the time.
Yep.
But any team, as you noted with the Reds that Ken Griffey Jr. played for, the backwards cap, the Griffey, Randy Johnson, Edgar Martinez, and then A-Rod.
That squad was just unreal.
Any one of those four guys, maybe not Edgar. If you wanted to say Edgar Martinez and Kirby Puckett were on similar levels for like cultural relevance, I think I could probably get behind that. And that really goes to show how not relevant Kirby Puckett was.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, there's only one of them has an award named after them, right? I mean, those four, you could. I wouldn't agree, but you could make an argument that they are the best player at their given position in baseball history. Mm-hmm. And then you follow that up with Ichiro and those teams in the mid, right? I don't know. I think that in terms of winning, because what did they go? They went 20 years without a playoff appearance or something around there.
01 to, because they had the 95 year was the year that they had the big hit, Edgar down the line.
Yeah.
And then 01, and then not again until 20 years. Yeah.
I mean, that actually was a running storyline. I think that the Twins were more relevant in that regard before they snapped the streak, because at least there was something that you could look at and point to with the team that it's like, oh yeah, that's that team that's on this hilarious stream. That the Mariners were also kind of on a similar, and I think that those kind of made both organizations a little bit more relevant.
It's mediocrity, but it's notable mediocrity. The Twins are mediocre at being mediocre.
Yeah. And there's nothing special about them right now and hasn't been for a while.
And their red, white, and blue logo. It's
50% of teams have red and blue gear. There is not they have nice jerseys, but nobody's going to be wearing it as a fashion statement at no point. Maybe just the baby blues in the 70s. I would say that's maybe a fashion statement.
And but they've tried. Their City Connects, they tried. And there were so many little subtle nods to, the waves of the water and the loon and all this stuff. And it's just yeah, but it's ugly. It's I respect the effort. And I love an inside baseball reference or two. But just not hitting for me. And so I will concede, Mr. Gregg Masterson, that the Twins are the least relevant current MLB franchise. Congratulations to you, sir.
This brings me no joy. This brings me only pain to it. Just kidding. I love dumping on these stupid Twins. They get what they deserve.
Well, and it's pretty hard out here right now for a Twins fan. So
it is. Shout out Twins fans who have made it to the end of this podcast.
Yes. By the way, make sure you're listening to Gregg's podcast, Twins Off Daily. It's going to be hard for you guys to do shows every single day in the off season, isn't it?
Oh man, I think we've wore through that joke last off season. We're actually, if I can plug something real quick.
Yes, absolutely.
We're about to roll out a second podcast that's going to happen on Sunday nights, a live stream on YouTube through Twins Daily. Me and my buddy Lou Hennessy will be the main guys. Locked On featured guest Lou Hennessy.
We love Lou over here.
Rolling out.
Sweet Lou.
Lou.
What's it going to be called? Does it have a special name?
Twins Daily Dose on YouTube, on the Twins Daily YouTube channel.
Well, that sounds pretty great. Well, hey, thanks again so much for hanging out with us. Nice little bonus episode. I will be away for the weekend. I don't know if we'll get another one in with Dave, but with Gregg here, this is Brandon Warne signing off, saying thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been Locked On Twins, and we will see ya
tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Alexei.